Hello, welcome to a new episode of Camera Collection, and this time we're gonna have a very special topic. This topic is gonna be about the camera future, and this time actually I prepare something, at least what I think you really need to know. Just looking through the past, see where we're at, and therefore you can predict a little bit the future. What I have here, I have some cameras and also some books which I recommend at least people should read about them. Some of them they are presenting the history of the camera from around 70s or 50s or really the old ones. All those books are good because the information it's also changing during the time. A book which was written at the beginning of the century, it was focused on what was known at the beginning of the century. A book which is written in the 80s is presenting what it was prior to the 80s and definitively always was defining the present of the cameras. Therefore, it's good to know where we're at, and also it's good to have different periods of books during the time to see what was new at that time and how that was changed, actually, how that changed during the time. So, as you can see, I have some cameras around me and a quick presentation of the past. Why I have those ones? Well, when photography started, they start with camera Obscura basically, and that was just a wooden box which mostly didn't have anything behind. The photography process was not invented at that time, and the first ones they were actually pretty big. During the time, of course, the lenses got better, the mechanics on the camera got better, and also the chemical process became more and more performant, and therefore the camera got smaller and smaller. At the beginning of the century, we jumped from a camera which was looking like this to a camera which is more looking like this, a box camera. This is an Eastman, and I just dismantled the front just to show you the simple mechanic in front. Basically, you have a shutter and a roll film behind, which usually go from inside here, roll it, and after that in the other side here. And if you want to have this developed, actually the entire box was sent into Kodak, and Kodak will took the film and they will make the pictures. And that was at the beginning of the century. However, on the 20s, we have something like this, still with the Baroque camera. It's a smaller version of that one, but the film was on the roll on the back here. So you have a simple mechanic like this, which you can take it out, take the film out, make a picture. And of course, if you want to have it compact, you can easily make a picture as you made the same picture with the other one. Just cut the shutter, and after that you can easily make a picture with it as well. After that, the first SLR came. The first SLR, it was something like this. This is actually the first SLR which was mass produced and available for the public. This is an Exacta from Ihagi, from Dresden, Germany. And what is interesting about this one, I just opened the top just to see the simple mechanical, which those cameras have. This one actually have the shutter on this side here, and the rolling of the film we have it here. Usually on the new SLRs, like those ones here, the film is actually rolled on the other side. But this one didn't change for probably almost from 30s up to late 90s, when the film cameras they start dropping and not being so dominant on the market because the electronic camera just appeared. But basically it's something like this. You have the shutter and the film which is rolling on this side. So becomes smaller and smaller, and a lot of people ask me, okay, well, yes, this is the SLR, but there were Baroque cameras like this smaller than that. Well, yes, they were. This is an Insignet camera, and you can easily open it something like this. Just have both sides and it's gonna pop up. Okay, and you can make a picture. Basically, you can have even a small area here. example, if you want to make a picture, you just look like this and just do your picture. But cameras like this, they were available back in 70s and 80s. However, just pay attention a little bit when you try to take this off. However, the camera becomes smaller and smaller, and they become even something like this. You know, you can make a picture, or right now with all this digital technology, camera can be embedded in a pen or on some glasses. Of course, you can have even the Google glasses; those are regular glasses, but you know, you can have a camera on the side or in front. So, from camera point of view, we have a chemical process, which was represented by these ones, and after that we have an electronic process. The camera becomes digital. So therefore the question is, what is in the future? Well, in the future, and now some people will not be really happy with the statement which I'll make, in the future the camera is going to be smaller and smaller, therefore we're going to might go to the microelectronic, and actually to the micro level, microscopic level. Right now, the photography, which was a chemical process, was replaced with an electromagnetic process. That was back in 70s when the first camera arrived, and the first photographies actually they are recorded on a magnetic band, you know, like a regular cassette. And after that, toward the 90s, it became more electronic and became the real digital camera, when the information was actually either written on a floppy disk and later in an SD card, which we are right now. And some of the cameras right now, they have the capabilities to save directly on a server. Basically, the image can be saved on an external drive if you are using Wi-Fi type of cards, or some of them they go directly on the cloud. Therefore, the future right now is saving the image which you take with the camera, probably electronically, directly on a server. Prior to go further and talk what is next step, or you know, what is the next type of cameras, well, let's see where we are right now. Right now, the camera just jumped from a chemical process to an electronic process. However, let's think a little bit more than this. What is actually an image? An image is captured with your eyes, and after that transmitted to the nerve optic, and after that is processed inside of your brain. That's the reason I have this small book here in front of us. It's just a book for kids, basically, you know, it's anatomy, but the reason why I just brought this is just to show you the eye, because I want to talk about the next type of process which is going to be used by cameras. As we said, right now it's an electronic process. However, the next one which I think is going to come, it's a biometric process. The image could be transmitted directly to the nerve optic, either by the use of a contact lens, either by, and that may happen, you have an implant. An implant is going to project an image to the nerve, to the optical nerve, and that can be transmitted to the brain. Therefore, we're going to start thinking right now, is this electronic process a process which is going to stay, or we need to think about another different process. The next process which I'm trying to emphasize to you right now is actually a biometric one, as I said. That is if we're going to have implants. Right now the camera is still an external object. We just jumped from making a picture with a camera to have an image projected through your eyes. Classical example, you have an electronic device and you look to it, the image is projected to you. the latest augmented virtual reality, like the glasses, they have the glasses which they have a small screen, and that image is projected toward your eyes. If you read different patents and you look what is right now, the cutting edge of the technology, you're gonna see actually the next one is not the mobility itself, is not getting mobile with the phone. Actually, the next step is to have something wearable, like a bracelet, or like an eye watch, or like something which is very simple and you can wear. Could be a ring, could be an eye ring, could be any object which you can have around you. However, all those objects, wearable, they are not tied to your body. Because right now we are at the edge of jumping from something external towards something which could be far more than that. Could be something implemented, could be something implanted, or the next step which I want to talk about it, could be something which will be transmitted directly to your brain. So therefore, from a biometric process, we can go to an implanted process, something which gets implanted to you, and the next one would be a genetic process. We can have organic cameras, therefore, like the eye, we can have an organ which can be implanted. Now depends. The camera is smaller and smaller, that doesn't mean it needs to have the same size as the human eye. It could be far more smaller, could be an eye like an insect, could be an eye even at the microscopic level. However, as long as it is a neuron link, as long as you have a link through that organ, through a nerve system, and if that is processed in your brain, therefore you have a new camera. And that camera is an organic camera, it is a genetic modified camera. That doesn't exist, but could be something which is going to come in 100 years or whatever, but that is going to come. So I think we can talk about that with some more examples. For instance, when we talk about the biometric one, right now there are contact lenses which they have different electronics on it, and you can just put it. It's still a wearable device, it's not an implanted device, and you can have projection toward your cornea, and you can see with your human eye an image, which is a projected image. The next step is to have something implanted. That actually is already happening. I will put a link down below for something which was done already. You can have a bionic eye. That is right now on the research for people which they have problems with the eyes. Let's look a little bit into the future. Just turn back a little bit and look what was in the past. In 1800s, big cameras with a film process, with a chemical process behind. And after that we have smaller and smaller cameras. Alright, so the camera become smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Therefore, it is logical to think the camera can be embedded in a pen, which we already know it's already happening, but we can have even smaller cameras. We can have actually microscopic cameras. Are those cameras existed in the real life? Yes, it does. As you can see, an ant or any insect, or even slower than that, we may have different cameras, but they are organic cameras. It's just a matter of time when we're going to have the technology to build microscopic cameras. So the question is, how are you going to do that? Well, a microscopic camera can be powered either by an external source or can use it different induced energy sources. Therefore, a microscopic camera can be easily developed. So the question is, what the future is going to bring to us? What about the genetic camera? A genetic camera is already existing. It's just a matter of taking a knife or an insect, saying, and can be implemented or implanted in another form of life. So therefore, logically, as long as we can have a link between the neurons and an implanted eye from another insect, it is possible. Is that the future of photography? Probably not. But definitely, a camera, it's more than a device. A camera can be organic as an eye. It's just a question if that can be used as an artistic way of presenting life, or something which is art, or is just a memory which you want to keep it by yourself. Right now we are in the last part of the chemical process, in the sense that only some of the people who are still using film, and this is more like a passion. This is something which is cool to do. Same like the ambrotype, same like the cyanotype, or all processes which they are used 100 years ago. They got resurrected right now, and people are using those thin types and different processes to capture the light, and they are pretty cool. They are interesting. The chemical process is actually dying. Less and less people is gonna use it. Ask a kid right now what he's gonna prefer to do. He prefers just to take an iPhone, make a picture with an iPhone, and that's the future. However, the future might be more than that. The chemical process was just replaced with this electronic process. The electronic process also, it might be changed and replaced by a different process. Right now, we can have cameras they can project an image. So we go from an electronic process to a projected process, in the sense that an image is projected. You just look to the image. You don't need to print it. You don't need to have something printed to look to an image. You just have it projected. Now, the projection can happen either in front of your eye, or you can have a device which is going to project it in any surface. Could be any wall, any glasses, a desk, blank piece of paper. You just have something projected and you look to it. So that is the next step from the electronic process to the projected process. Let me look to my notes now. What I write here, and as you can probably see, I have my notes here on the side. I write about what I think it was, which is obviously, I read that in the books, I know it happened. And we went from film, therefore a chemical process, to an electronic one, digital cameras, and therefore right now with those mirrorless cameras as I'm using right now when I'm filming, and those which are sending the images directly in the cloud, we went from an electronic to a wireless outside process. So therefore the next one, it's a biometric one, in the sense that you might implant some of the images in different ways, either directly linking to a neuron, or you can have different devices or nano robots which they can send an image being in your streamlight saying. So therefore, we went from reflected process, the light was reflected and captured on a film. We went to a projected process in the sense that, okay, I made a picture, let me take a look at the picture, I'm projected that image and I can see it in a device, or right now you can have it projected in any surface on the wall or even in the blank piece of paper. So you have something like this and you just project the image and you can see it. So we went from a reflection process toward a projected process. And therefore the question is, okay, after this projected process where we are right now, what's the next one? Well, in my opinion, the next one will be an induced one. Either the image is linked directly by neurons to the system and therefore processed by your brain, or could be induced by using exterior or implanted devices, so therefore you have a direct link from a device directly to your brain. And therefore, after the induced ones, that means the image is sent to you, you might have a next one, which I'm thinking would be more something like captured ones by the power of the brain, by the brain wave. You can capture an image same as you capture an image right now wireless from camera to a device. However, that is probably a long shot away, could be in few years, could be in far more years than we expect. As long as we think the process, probably we can do the process. It's just a question of, do we want to have something embedded in our bodies, or we stay as we are and we are not accepting that. This is the new frontier which we need to pass right now. So what is photography? Is photography just a nice image? Well, a nice image you can do with any of those cameras. But think about it. What about if I'm making an artistic photography with a camera like this? Or I just see something very cool and I have my Google glasses? Or even more, what if I have the contact lenses camera, which I just see something, I make a picture right now. You don't know about it. Therefore, you're going to have also some privacy. You're going to have some other social aspects which are not covered currently by the common techniques used for photography. Let's talk now about the neural image. A neural image is actually an image which is just received at the neuron level. With other words, we just keep the camera. Now, how that can be possible? Well, there are different ways to do it. Right now we have actually people which they are in research for medical purpose, blind people saying they didn't have the capability to see, and with a camera, with a device, they are just linked directly to the nerve and the information is sent to the brain, therefore they can see. However, it is a link which you may have directly with your brain without having any other interference like the camera or the neurons which they are sending the information to the brain. Very similar to the wireless process. We know the brain is working with waves. If we can have that link between the camera and the brain directly, the neurotic process can be achieved without having a camera. That can be done directly using the brain waves. If we can invent a device which they will have the same frequencies as the human brain, it is theoretically possible to send an information, an image, directly through the brain waves. We just need to invent that. So what the future is going to bring us? Well, a part of those nano cameras and organic cameras, we need to have different other processes. Of course, we're going to have eye implants, and with an eye implant you can make photography without even using a camera. The question is how we're going to share that image. Therefore, you're going to need a process to share what you see directly on another device or another server or a hive. And if that is possible, well, you can have different neurotic implants, but also your privacy is going to be vulnerable as well. How are you going to protect yourself to not be seen by somebody who can have those devices? So therefore, you can have different nano cameras, or you can have memory implants. Well, how you can implant a memory? Well, right now, as you probably know, you see something, and therefore you create a memory. Is that memory possible to be implanted indirectly? Or is it possible to just transmit a memory? Theoretically it is. Is it possible to have a memory in any science fiction movie? Yes, those are discussed. Is that a photographic process? Probably is. Probably can be shared, and also probably can be an artistic photograph. Implanted memory could be at the chemical level or could be at the neuroelectric level. The memory right now, they are still unknown exactly how they are stored inside of the brain. Therefore, is it possible to have a memory implanted either by a chemical process, either by using nanorobots, or either by using an organic camera or implanted camera? Yes, it's possible to have it. How are you going to share that? Well, that is the discussion. You need to have a process which is going to share, is going to download that image which you just received on another medium. You need to transfer that image somehow from your memory to a device or a hive or a server. Well, I hope you like this presentation about the future of the camera, the future of photography, the boundaries which we have to break, and you never know what is going to come, and hopefully we're going to find out in the next years. If you have any questions, please use the lines below. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next one. Thanks.